This is the defunct YouTube channel of a bygone rapturist named Jess. She spent all of 2023 dazzling the Watchman world with innovative mathematical theories that she called empirical evidence, earning herself over 4,000 followers. But by year's end, her arithmetic had added up to nothing. She abandoned her channel and her followers after an emotional crash and burn. This is the cautionary tale of Jess. Her rapture career began on December 6, 2022. That's when she says that she had a dream about a planetary conjunction that appeared in the sky just before the rapture. Jess had been watching rapture channels off and on through the years, and her dream that December convinced her the time had finally come. This is her using stellarium to show the conjunction from her dream. And here she is a few days later teaching on a new conjunction that was allegedly a warning to the nations. This all happened in the winter of early 23. That time saw the arrival of the misfits. Mandy had her first failed date in February, which she reinterpreted as the midnight cry. Cassie had begun to have strange experiences related to the rapture, and Jess had her big dream in December. The three of them found each other online and decided to collaborate. Their first live stream together on April 30th got over 10,000 views. Jess's great contribution to rapturism was what she called God's spiritual clock overlaying the Mazzaroth rotation. This is her explaining how the Mazzaroth calendar goes in a clockwise circle, so it can be compared to a clock. The highest point at the top correlates to 12 o'clock, then around to 3 o'clock, down to 6 o'clock, and over to 9 o'clock. Thus, the conjunction alignments at the center left of the circle were comparable to 9 o'clock or the 9th hour. Remember, she had a dream about a certain planetary conjunction that preceded the rapture. It occurred in the center-left part of the Mazzaroth, which meant it occurred around her so-called 9 o'clock hour. So in order for her dream to be true, the rapture had to happen within the time span of those certain things being seen in the sky. And that's why Jess kept saying the rapture would happen within the 9th hour. Mandy soon claimed she was given the rapture date of May 22nd. It fit with Jess's schedule, so the misfits all agreed to promote that day. And here they are, looking disappointed when May 22nd was a bust. But instead of accepting that they had been wrong, Jess doubled down. In this amazing piece of damage control, Jess explained that Jesus tricked them into really believing it was the rapture so they could have a dress rehearsal.
And so he does these things, and he wanted us to really think it was on the 22nd so that we would go on the live and we're going to say, he's really coming, and make people really believe it so that people will really be ready. It's really a rehearsal, okay? And so now...
She then said that she had found the one last missing piece that tied it all together, which was a crescent moon.
I woke up at 2:22, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit came upon me. He showed me the missing piece to the Mazzaroth, okay, and that clicked everything in place. Okay, so the missing piece, it's actually the crescent moons.
Yes, you heard that right. This is a Christian explaining to the church how a crescent moon is a sign of the rapture. Going into June, Jess promoted more magic numbers and elaborate math to justify how the 9th hour could last several months. A full 6 months into it, when we were on the other side of the Mazzaroth, Jess resorted to the typical rapturist propaganda, God had invited her on a great Gnostic adventure with many twists and turns because the shocking truth was too big to handle in one dose. Sound familiar? In an epic moment of rapturist lore, Jess explained how 9 o'clock is the same as 3 o'clock because of what she called fractal mirroring. So you see, 6 months later, on the opposite side of the Mazzaroth, the mirror side was still relevant. Then she babbled about magic numbers of the failed rapture dates that created the fractal mirror. And this was her empirical proof that she was right. The mirror theory was her best hope, so the Misfits had a rapture date on June 17. And that was the famous live stream when she muted Mandy's husband for questioning her math. Fast forward to late July, when the 3 o'clock mirror thing was no longer feasible at all, and Jess was still saying it was 9 o'clock. Jess basically proved that no matter what time of year it was, no matter what constellations were seen overhead, she could still cling to the one she saw in her dream. She claimed that this time she had figured out for good when it was finally over, which she said was in August. Fortunately for her, the August failure was overshadowed by Mandy's affair with Guillermo. Jess made this 80-minute video defending Mandy's new sex magic obsession. In late September, Jess was back at it, still using magic fractal math to keep her 9th hour alive. Then again in November, then in December. The day after that encouragement, she said she had a dream that was a warning to her enemies. For those of you who have watched a lot of rapture watching channels, does any of this sound familiar? But more days passed with still nothing to show, and she finally threw in the towel in late December, more than a year after her conjunction dream. In her final video, Jess appeared distraught. She spoke of how her father was losing a battle with cancer. Her father's death was at hand, and she clung to a promise that he would be raptured before then. That was 2 months ago. Some of her followers kept returning to ask for an update, and Jess has not answered anyone in public. Her channel has been completely abandoned. And so the story ends. After a full year of grandstanding, threatening, silencing, defending adultery, moving goalposts, and doing gibberish with magic numbers, a defeated Jess has given up on YouTube. The starry-eyed girl who seemed so sure was reduced to tears in her final video. This is unfortunately what rapturism does to people. And the beat goes on. Stay away from rapturism.